COVID-19 has imposed on Americans, both in terms of sickness, lives, economic difficulty, and you have members of Congress who've been bickering about this for months through the suffering of a lot of Americans, a lot of American families, a lot of American businesses. I find it extraordinary that $600, the checks that Americans are supposed to receive, $600 could be a lot of money for a lot of families. But I still find it, extraordinary that both parties have been bickering about this, and now after they reached this bill, there's talk about, the Republicans never told us that the president would be okay with $2,000 as the amount of the check, as the Democrats are now saying. $600 is a lot of money. $2,000 could be even a bigger help, obviously. But 2 days before Christmas, it's still not sure where the whole situation is headed. Will Americans receive $600 or $2,000 or nothing at all? We don't know at this point. With the president having taken the line that he's taken, we don't know if he's going to veto. We don't know if he vetoed, what complexity overriding the veto would involve. Both Republicans and Democrats passed this with comfortable majorities in both houses, but there's no guarantee that the comfort around overriding the veto would still be there if it came to it.
Molly, you mentioned the president weighing into these negotiations. He has been noticeably absent through the entire process, and now it seems as though he's putting out a fire with a can of gasoline here. So what does he hope to achieve by these proposals on this legislation, making the statement that the bill is a disgrace and the bill is outrageous and unsuitable? Does he really expect to get the changes that he's asking for, or is this yet another political ploy to, in essence, drum up support for his desire to stay in office?
It's always a risky proposition to try to discern Donald Trump's motivations, but it really does appear to be nothing deeper than a desire for attention. As you said, the president has been disengaged with this process, not just this negotiation, but the entire process of COVID relief, starting when the two parties in Congress started working on emergency legislation back in February. From time to time, he would wade into this debate with conflicting messages, sometimes saying he was for something, sometimes saying he was against it, sometimes urging the parties to come together and negotiate.
I think we're going after the pandemic in a good way right now. And it's been a tough year, very tough for some folks. But hope you're healthy and happy, Nick, and hope 21 offers you and your family some really good things. K7INV. They're in Lovelock, I think, Nevada. This is W5SF in Santa Fe, New Mexico. 7-3, Nick.
Yeah, 7-3s, and thank you for helping me out here. And you definitely stay safe and healthy. We're doing the same over here, doing all we can to protect ourselves. Obviously you saw where I'm at, so I self-quarantine every day. And stay safe, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thank you, Ted, for helping me out with the audio there. Over.
You're very welcome, my friend. Maybe we can hook again. But station sounds good, and wish you all the best in 2021. Hope it's a good year for all of us. K7INV, W5SF.
73's, Ted. I do hear another station there. You're a little on the weak side too. We'll give it a shot if you want to. Yeah, how you doing? Is it your name?
It only took about 15 minutes. I had it back in, but I think it's trying to do something again here by the looks of it. But God damn it anyway. I think it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and I don't realize it, but sooner or later it's going to get to the point where I can't do anything with it.
Yeah, that sucks. Man, I just wish you could get something done with it so it wasn't quite so bad to put in there. Doggone it anyway. It folds, it'd be about 5 foot or 6 foot long folding table type of thing.
Oh, okay.
Low is going to be 24. 39 tomorrow. Okay, my weather station says 44.2, and the NOAA weather.
An hour. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Say it out loud, Frank. Yeah. $20 an hour. Give me a fucking break. This guy is another bureaucrat, steaming pile of shit, clueless idiot. Well, already got $20 an hour. I already got him to admit now he knows that the rich do pay their fair share, don't they? Come on, liberal. Go ahead and admit it. You were wrong. Yes, the rich do pay their fair share, and they want more. How much more do you want them to pay? Jesus fucking Christ. I'd like to make $1 million. Oh, I only get to keep 200,000. Yeah, because all the hamburger flippers want 20 fucking bucks an hour. And a goddamn Walmart employee wants 35. Jesus Christ. Bullshit. Supply and demand. You know, if you can't afford a $3,000 apartment, you go find a $500 apartment. Yeah, if that's where you need to go. If you want to be downtown LA with all the skyscrapers, what, you expect them to sell those apartments for $500 a month? Get a clue. No, there ain't no jobs because all these goddamn liberal Democrats want to let all the Mexicans flood across the border and take all the jobs. All this bullshit of, oh, well, they're just doing jobs Americans wouldn't do. Bullshit. I give up. This dude is just unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead, dude. Give them free driver's license. Give them free health care. Give them free education. Now tell me, who do you expect to pay for all that? Who do you expect to pay for all that? Come on, tell me who's going to pay for all that. You want to give these goddamn people fucking driver's licenses? You want to give them free health care? You want to give them free education? Now you want to give them free citizenship. Why? Why? Who's going to pay for that? Tell me. You tell me who's going to pay for all that. You're going to pay for it, Frank.
Frank, you're never gonna make the point. He's always gonna have something dumb to come back with or change the subject. I'm not gonna get through to him. I'm not gonna get through to him. Kaifo's not gonna get through to him. Nobody's gonna get through to him.
We're gonna make you pay for it, Frank.
KK 6FR.
I know 60. Mojave Desert.
Frank Rossio Jr. is a fucking prick. New York 6 Germany. Well, at least now he knows the rich do pay their fair share. We got that little bit through his frickin' stupid head. Listening to all that CNN and fake news crap. Oh, the rich gotta pay their fair share. Shit. Yeah, they're already paying 80%. How much more do you want to take from them?
Well, he's going to go back to, they're paying their fair share, so. Yeah. Hour or so.
NY6G.
No November Yankee 6 Golf, is that what it was?
It's not the Democrats, it's the Republicans. That's the problem.
Well, yeah.
That's the problem for the next 2 weeks, for the next 5 days, 6 days. It's the Republicans. I can understand Democrats. I get their position down. That's fine. But it's these Republicans that are in those particular states that are making problems, and that's Trump's own party. So can't blame anybody else but those politicians alone. Those are the ones to go after.
Where is he coming from? Really? Why is it all the states burning their shit down, rioting? Why is Chicago? Why is Detroit? Why is L.A.? Why are all these Democrat-run cities are the ones that are broke, busted, and burning their shit down to the ground? It makes no sense. How is it? Explain how the Republicans are messing up these states.
The fraud that was
I'm gonna cry.
with 3 different states, but there's 6 or 7 states, and 6 of them are Republican states, and they're holding everything back. I'm talking about the election, and those are Republicans.
Yeah, I'll see you guys later, Frank.
Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona. We have New Mexico in the mix right now. Nevada's not Republican, but we got Nevada in the mix. Those other states are Republican states. They're the ones who are holding things back. The anger and frustration needs to go to them, not the Democrats. Hey, I can understand what they're doing. It's these Republicans that need to have all the attention.
So it was the Republicans that bought all those voting machines. It was the Republicans that went around and did ballot harvesting. It was the Republicans that made up all those fake ballots with the same signatures. It was the Republicans that pulled those underneath the table. No, dude. They sent the Republicans out of the room so that the Democrats could steal the election from those states. Are you serious?
No, you're mistaken.
Bullshit.
November 3rd. This is something that happened 18 months prior. And each of those states, both assemblies, the Assembly and the Senate are Republican dominated, and they allowed all this to happen. It happened 12 months prior to the election. So whatever happened November 3rd, November the evening of November 4th, the early morning hours, that was all a doing from a year previous. And Republicans ran those states. They allowed it to happen. Overnight, they allowed it. Secretary of State allowed it in Georgia. The governor in Georgia has allowed it to happen. Not even we call it a special session. And we know the frauds occurred down there. We saw the video. You're going to believe the Secretary of State of your own lying eyes. These are Republicans that are sabotaging this. They're not Democrats. And if they were, I'd expect it. These are Republicans. The anger and frustration needs to go there and not the Democrats.
Those are rhinos.
Oh, so the Democrats are just running around with with halos on their heads. Okay. Wow, that's a whole new twist. I haven't heard that anywhere. But all right, well, we'll see what happens come January 6th or before. We'll see what takes place. There's several options Trump still has to stay another 4 years, but okay, man, I don't even know where to go with that.
You're not staying another 4 years.
Where to even begin with that one?
You're an idiot, Frank.
With the Republicans were the ones that set all this up or allowed it to happen. Really? They just allowed to be shoved out of the rooms and not watch. They just allowed all that, right? While the Democrats shoved all the votes through 2, 3, 4 times through the same machine and had all the same signatures, and a lot of the ballots didn't have any folds on them, which proves they weren't sent in by mail. I mean, really, the Republicans allowed all that to happen. Wow. Boy, talk about a stretch.
None of that was correct. I kind of understand his point that after the fact, the governor and the Republicans who could have objected and had the hearings, refused to have the hearings, they did nothing to stop the steal. And after the fact, they allowed the steal to occur when they could have intervened. So I think that's the point he's trying to make. Of course, you absolutely have the valid point that the Democrats did all those dirty deeds. But the Rhino Republicans
That hasn't been proven at all.
are the ones that, in the end, allowed the steal to occur after the fact.
To some point, yeah. Don't forget all the people that have been harassed, threatened with their lives. That one gal got shot at and got shot. I think they got to Barr, and he decided he wanted to live or protect his family. So there's another one that had to bow out. I think a lot of those judges were gotten to. I mean, you know, this is big business. This is big shit. Nobody wants to be the one to overturn an election. So no little dinky judge in a state is gonna hear any of this, and that's why they didn't. They rejected all that. They wouldn't even hear the evidence. Yeah. They didn't have any balls. So, oh well. Okay. You know, it's an interesting point. I like balls. Agree to some level of that is probably very true, but still,
like sucking Democrats' blood.
That Trump won by a landslide, and you had all this shit going on, and that's the only way they could get rid of Trump. I mean, they tried to get rid of him with Russian collusion. They tried to get rid of him with impeachment. Oh, well, we'll just get him out in 4 years because we're going to stuff the ballot box, and we're going to do all this, and we're going to just... How is it Trump could go to 4 and 5 rallies a day and have hundreds of, thousands and thousands of people show up? And they tell old Joe Biden, oh, just stay in the bunker. You don't have to go out. And when he did go out, he couldn't fill a goddamn taxi cab on a Friday night. Seriously, you think that asshole won the presidency? Seriously? I hope not. I hope you know that this was all ahead of time. This was all... Why do you think Hillary said, don't give up, just stay in the bunker, you don't have to go out and do anything, it's already taken care of? Yeah, we all know the truth.
You don't pick the president because of how many people show up at their rallies, you stupid fuck.
No doubt. But I believe that the election was lost prior to November 3rd because the Republicans in those states that are in question today, those Republicans failed to counter the Democrats' moves on election laws. And in Pennsylvania, you got the Secretary of State, you got the governor making laws which they can't do, but they did anyway, and the Republicans never, ever acted against it, It's that way across the board, and of course you got the McCain people in Arizona that don't want Trump doing anything, and then Jeff Flake is right there not far behind. These people could have done something 12 months prior to November, and they failed. They ignored it. They didn't do it. Look at Maricopa County. They're almost all Republicans, and look what they're doing right now, fighting the subpoena. These are Republicans doing this. That's the problem. I expect Democrats to do this. I expect Republicans to do it against Democrats.
Frank's an idiot.
Republicans to do it against Republicans. It would never happen under Nancy Pelosi's Democrat Party. But it happens.
You're an idiot, too.
So these are people you got to be angry with. Those are the people that we should go after.
Don't pay any attention to Frank and Noel. They're morons.
Right now. And I can't, the rhinos, sure, but I can't figure out why they would want
Frank and Noel are morons.
That makes no sense to me. Anyway, NY6G. All right, I can agree with that. I can totally agree with that. There's, so much more going on that we're not even privy to. Payoffs, big money, people getting bought left and right. And it's bigger powers that don't want Trump in there.
We know that. They tried to get rid of him for 4 years because he doesn't play ball. He's not, he's not a teleprompter.
He's an asshole.
He's a shit politician who bows down to people overseas. Like,
he's a criminal and an
I can't even
asshole.
believe anybody thinks Obama was a good president. He's going down as the worst president in history, sending people pallets of cash and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a whole lot more going on that we may never even know about. But you can definitely know that, yeah, Trump would have won by, he did. He won by a landslide.
No, he didn't.
And you're right. There's probably a whole lot of truth to that, but they didn't stop that ahead of time. There's a whole shitload going on here, folks.
Idiot.
Yeah, as I said before, and Frank has also echoed that, I believe Bill Barr, him and his family were threatened. I think the members of the Supreme Court were threatened, and that's why they didn't take up the last suit by Donald Trump, which was perfectly valid. I can understand them saying that, other states have no right to sue this one state. They have a point there, but this latest one that fell into the same ruling as George W. Bush and the Al Gore, Gore versus Bush case, they should have been able to take that up and rule in Trump's favor, and they wouldn't even look at it. So I think the Supreme Court has been gotten to as well.
Okay, but remember, guys, this is not a court issue. This is not a legal issue that you go to a court over. This is not that. This is a legislative issue, and each state is responsible for this. That's their own. That's one of their prime responsibilities. And those states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, they had screwed us. They screwed us. That's their job, and they failed. And the Supreme Court has already told us they don't want to hear it. This is a hot potato. It goes back to those states that screwed things up from the beginning. And guess what? Those are all Republican-run states. I'm not saying governors, but the legislators. That's their goddamn job, is to make sure this thing goes right. And they failed.
Donald Trump lost. Get over it.
Everyone to stand to blame.
Okay, Mike, I understand your point, but that's why we have three branches of government. Of course, we have the executive, legislative, and the judicial branch. Well, if the legislative branch isn't pulling their weight or doing what they ought to be doing, that's when the judicial, the executive branch, in this case, probably can't, right now on this by executive order. Well, this is why the judicial branch would have to step in and say, hey, no, it doesn't go this way, it's unconstitutional. And that's why we have a balance of power. If one goes awry, then there is correction and balance in the others. And nothing is operating the way it should be operating.
Donald Trump lost. Get over it.
I agree. I mean, there's a constitutional breakdown with especially Pennsylvania, the unequal treatment. And then, I vote in Nevada. I live in Nevada. I got people in Texas. I got family in California. We all got screwed. And it should be a constitutional issue. I can understand the court saying, wait a minute, legislative.
Okay, hold on.
It's simply been handled at the state level. And that's their responsibility. Why do you want to give the judges, these people that are goddamn kings and queens for life, why do we want to give them that kind of more responsibility, more power, more authority?
Donald Trump lost. He's going to prison.
I think
get over it.
Put him on term limits minimum. This should be solved at the state level. Each of those states needs to solve this stuff. It goes back to the states and let them handle it. Very simple process, but they don't want to deal with it because of politics.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And this is like a first. This is the first time in my life or history that I know of that we didn't know who the president actually was the night after the election. And this is kind of a first.
And there is, in the Constitution, a whole process for if something like this was to happen. And it's like illegal for Pence to certify the electoral votes if he knows or suspects that they are not true or the will of the people. So there are still some chances here, maybe slim, I don't know, it depends on if somebody's got a big enough pair of balls. Because what they'll do is go through this process. They can not accept those electoral votes. Then they all go have their little powwow, and then they come back and figure out what they're going to do about it. And there's a provision in the Constitution where they can then say, the election was fraud or fraudulent, and then they can go to each and every state gets one vote. And we have 30 of them for the Republican side and 20 for the Democrat side. And if they all cast their votes accordingly, then Trump will get another 4 years. There's also the possibility that Trump can invoke that executive order that he signed, where there could be no foreign intervention from foreign countries, and all they got to do is prove that. Then there was one other method that they can go through for Trump to get another 4 years. I can't think of which one that is right now, but I mean, there's still a shot of this thing, because this has never happened before like this. We've always known, at least as long as I've been alive, who the president is after the day of the election. It's always been cut and dried. A couple of close ones, like with Gore and Bush, Bush. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really still hoping before January 20, and we should know something real serious right around January 6 or 7, what they're going to do, if they're going to do anything. If anybody's got the balls to do anything. Trump lost. Get over it. It ain't over until that lady don't sing going on. January 20th.
It's a very interesting time.
I'm a Trump guy, so I want 4 more years of that guy. I can't stand by it. But I don't think that this is going to end well for anybody. No one's going to be happy.
We've got 24 candidates plus maybe another 5 million that are off the books because the vote was taken away. So I think it's going to be very interesting next few days. How Jefferson is the last time this happened. We went through this process once before, but it's been a long time.
And Gore v. Bush
v. Gore, that was 37 days. So,
you give a Democrat
extra days to count, and they'll find the votes. That's the problem.
Well, like you said, the next 10 days, next 10 days from today are going to be real interesting. And if Trump gets another 4 years, there's going to be rioting and looting and burning, and just like we've seen already before. That's what I don't get. I'm even surprised. How could even so many people vote Democrat? How can you vote for higher taxes, flood the borders, open the borders, let them flood our hospitals, let them drain all our resources? How is it you'd want more regulations so businesses can't open and make money and pay people and hire people and make products? How is it they want to defund the police? How could you wake up and go, yeah, that sounds good? That is beyond comprehension. I couldn't be a Democrat for no goddamn amount of money. You fucking moron. AK 6FR. You believe everything your propaganda networks tell you, don't you?
I'm going to go make something to eat, and it's going to take a while, but I'll be back.
Yeah, well, Cosmo bailed out already. Tim never showed up. I'm going to probably call it quits, too. I got people coming tomorrow. We're going to go riding, playing with Dave's new toy, his little side-by-side. He's got one of those XTSs or whatever the hell those things are. That thing's badass. We were doing 70 miles an hour down dirt roads and climbing up hills that were almost damn near straight up. So anyway, we're going to have some fun tomorrow. But yeah, I just don't see where Democrats are coming from. I don't see why they would want to vote for that. I don't see how they could stand Pelosi and her crap and Biden and his dementia going on. He doesn't even know what state he's in or what office he's running for. And then Camel Toe, who fucked their way to the top. You know, I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of people like that. Yeah, well, guys, great talking to you, and a lot of what you say is true. So I have a daughter in the Army, and she's sick of you too, Frank. And I got a brother-in-law who just made captain in the Coast Guard. And he's out here, California area, and gone through the military with them. You know, doing meeting people and going to events, and man, I just couldn't realize how many general class officers are Democrats. It's almost all of West Point. It's really crazy. And then the admirals and the Coast Guard, the majority are Democrats. I just don't understand it. I just do not understand it. The majority of the general class officers around Trump in 2016 were Democrats. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it's just the strangest thing. But they're the ones that seem to get promoted from the colonel and the captain corps and move up the ladder. General Flynn, lifelong Democrat. I mean, man, listen, President Trump was a lifelong Democrat too. It's not for himself, lifelong, second generation. And thank God, because otherwise, if he was a Republican, he would have given up a long time ago. So his Democrat roots are starting to show with his stamina. So, but I just don't get either. Growing up in San Francisco, I just still don't understand how people can vote that direction. So, anyway, have a great rest of the evening, guys. This is NY6G, San Jose. Well, one quick last comment. I think a lot of Democrats are old school Democrats, and they just don't have a clue what's coming. They just don't understand that the forces of communism and socialism have been just pouring tons and tons of money in, and they say one thing, but they're going to get something else. I really, honestly, I know a bunch of them, and honestly, they don't have a clue. Oh, my family, I know a 70-year-old Democrat, and well, my family's always voted Democrat. And he started watching Fox after, you know, because he's over at my dad's house a lot, and he goes, I had no idea. I had no idea. Oh, my God. He had no what was going on. He was just always a Democrat. They always voted Democrat. And Democrats of 20, 30 years ago, they're not the same as what's going on today. I think a lot of Democrats, if this country starts to go socialism or communism or all this crap, they're going to be going, huh? What? Yeah? Oh, shit, we should have voted for Trump. Hmm? Remember, ignorance is bliss. Fucking CNN and MSNBC, I mean, I flip back and forth, and I just can't believe the out-and-out lies, the fake news, oh, yeah, that sounds great. We're going to give free college. We're going to give free driver's license. We're going to give free health care. Nothing is free, people. Nothing is free. Somebody's got to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. You're going to make you pay for it, Frank. Just remember that. Nothing is free, people. Nothing is free. Somebody pays for it. You are going to pay for it.
In your face. She's just a great spirit and a very unique voice. She reminds me of Stevie Nicks when she's in the low range.
Yeah, I just looked her up. Here online. I'll take a listen to that.
The first thing to do is one of her biggest hits called Rescue. I will rescue your
antenna up there. But, it doesn't sound intermittent. It just sounds like a really fast fade up.
So, interesting. Yeah, you've never, just above, a little bit above zero is possible. That reduces the noise, and then just turn your volume up a little bit, and you'll hear stations a whole lot better. If there's a station that's S6 and you're showing an S9 noise level, you're not going to hear him. Kick in your attenuation down to zero, you'll hear that S6 station. It takes his down a little bit too, but you'll still be able to hear him. Anyway, good luck with the new radio. You suck, Frank. Well, everybody's got their view of politics, but I mean, if you can't really, you got to really do some research. You got to really look at what's going on. I just don't understand why you would want higher taxes, more regulations, open borders, sanctuary cities, defund the police. Everything I hear coming from the Democrats, why would you want that? I want less taxes, less government. I want government out of the way. I want to fund our police. I want to fund our military. I want to have strong borders. I want to make America great again. Yeah, there's corruption on both sides. I'll give that to you. Yeah, Democrats and Republicans alike are some corrupt bitches. They all do backroom deals, and that's what Trump screwed them up with. Trump wasn't one of the good old boys that goes along with the flow.
Shut the fuck up. We've heard this 100 times.
I know that Republicans aren't angels, okay? But still, I don't see how the Democrats are going to come in and make anything better. If you really think Biden and Harris are going to come in here and make things better, I'd sure like to know how. Pay attention. Pay attention, idiot. Well, it comes down to the lesser of two evils. I mean, okay, Trump ain't perfect, but oh my God, what I'm hearing from the Democrats is 10 times worse. So, just pick your poison, I guess. Everything they said about Trump was absolutely 100% wrong. The stocks didn't crash. He didn't start wars. He was the first president to step across the North Korean border. I mean, come on, this dude has just signed 3 peace treaties that said never could be done. He just got a vaccine put out that said never could be done by the end of this year. And here we are, shooting up people's arms. I mean, come on, give the guy some frickin' credit where credit's due. That's all I've ever said. Yeah, he ain't perfect. He don't speak like a politician, and that's why he got hired. Because he wasn't just the same old bullshit we kept hearing from every other goddamn politician. Okay? He threw the biggest monkey wrench in the march for socialism and communism that we could have. Oh my God, just imagine if Hillary would have got in. You wouldn't have known about the corrupt FBI, the corrupt CIA, the fake dossier. You wouldn't have known about any of those stuff. Thank God Trump got in. I said many times a long time ago, I said if Trump did nothing else, if he didn't do all those other accomplishments, he'll go down as the greatest president in my book because he stopped Hillary Clinton from taking office. That right there alone makes him the best president ever. You're a fucking idiot, Frank. Brainwash douchebag.
But I had him come down and fix the roof and put up that 5-year guarantee. And what was really funny is the next year that huge hailstorm hit down there in Fountain, and they got the roof trashed anyway.
The base is broken. That's probably too much power right there. Alright, back it down a little bit. I'm just trying to get this other amplifier going to see which one does the most power.
Well, I'm running about a kilowatt here, so not very noisy here, but signals generally are not very strong tonight. That was tuning across the band, and I'm not getting too many stations tonight.
I wonder if Alex is going to come out and we might have him show up maybe. It's about that time that the band will start opening it up a little better.
Well, the band is getting stronger.
Hey Lee, can you hear Brad?
Yeah, once in a while, it's kind of up and down.
Okay. Well, I can still copy you. You're all right here. Not very loud, but I can make out what you're saying.
Well, we're almost 11 o'clock here, and that's when the band usually straightens up some, so let's hope.
Well, Lee, I hope you had a good Christmas day.
Yeah, we just kind of took it easy around here today, and made turkey for dinner, and it was all right. It was just a comfortable day, over.
All right, did you say you had turkey today?
Roger, roger.
All right, yeah, we had ham today. It was a great meal.
Well, yeah, well, we had turkey on Thanksgiving, and had ham halfway between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now we're back to turkey, and I guess the next time it's going to be ham again, over.
Yeah, okay, sounds like a replay.
Yeah, Rick, you make it out here, N3RKU, KC7HUR. I'm sure Lee's in there, but I can't hear what he's saying.
I can barely hear Bram tonight.
That's the way it used to be, until they figured out, oh my God, we can vote our own races and we can stay in here forever. Yeah, those people don't work. They've never worked a damn job in a day of their life. They're career politicians. They learn real good how to lie, cheat, steal, and backroom deals. Yep, I think all of them should have no more than a 4-year term. And that don't mean once their 4-year term is up, they move down the hall and put another different nameplate on the door. No, they should be out of government for at least 8 years before they can even think about coming back. They need to go back to their real job. That's the way it used to be. Farmers and people used to come in and serve their country either in the military or Congress or that, and then when their term was up, they went back to their real job. None of this lifelong politician bullshit. If we had term limits, or that's one of the things Trump wanted to do, that's one thing that he couldn't get done. We need term limits and get these people out of here. But term limits mean you go back to civilian life. You don't move down the hall with a different fucking nameplate on the door. Okay, we
heard enough. Shut up, Frank.
Yeah, and who votes Pelosi back in? And who votes these people back in? I never got a vote for any of that. You talked about voter fraud. What the hell keeps rehiring these same complete incompetent assholes every 2 years and every 4 years, every time their term comes up? Who's voting those people in? I've never seen a vote, oh, let's vote for Nancy Pelosi, or, oh, this new person. I've never seen any of those votes. Have you? So who the hell's voting those people in? Over and over and over. And like when a governor kicks out, oh, he just goes and becomes a DA. Oh, and he's not being a DA. Oh, he just becomes something else. He doesn't go out of politics. He just gets a different title nameplate on his door. That's bullshit too. So anyway, all right, enough said. Tomorrow we'll just do radio. KK6FR. Going quiet. That's R for Roger. Or if you do that's Roger Roger.
How's that for a band name? That's funny. It's almost like it could be a tribute band. Hey, I found it. It's called Seattle Syndrome. That's a compilation. We have one tune on there, yeah. But all the cassette stuff came out of England on vinyl. And I think it was titled K7SS. Yeah, it's Ride the Bus. Well, they got that wrong, but yeah, that's it. All right. It has 109 views on YouTube. Oh my God, this is it. I'm gonna get rich. Yes. His mother. Look at that. You found the album? Well, yeah. I mean, I see it. It only has 5 minutes and something of recording, so it might just be a song. But it has, looks like a kid with a skateboard helmet on. Oh, no, that was, that is a kid with a pig's head on his head. Oh. Yeah. I smell something burning over here, Rick. I think I must be just doing too much power and I'm burning up some coax. The Chinese stuff's made out of steel wire. Or maybe MFJ got upset and decided that the coil wasn't going to hold up. Hold on, Jesus. Rick just keeps making me hold on. It's like, this is amateur telephone radio. I gotta get my shoestring phone out and wax the cord on it so I can hear better. You know, if you see apply it like some kind of candle wax to the string phone, shoestring phone, you'll get better reception on the other end of the tin can. It's gotta be a really special tin. I really enjoyed the net tonight. You got blessed with some good conditions. You know, we've been struggling all week with the long stuff, and I think we had relays all over the country on Saturday because, man, it was crazy. But, yeah, I hope everybody had a great Christmas. It was kind of low-key around here. I think a lot of people were just kind of staying close to their home and not getting out a lot. But Vicki and Mac and I all got together. We had sushi for lunch, and it was okay. I had to buy it yesterday at the restaurant, and it was kind of dry, but Vicki really likes it, so that was good.
And my present, as I mentioned to you guys, is my new rescue pup. Not a pup, but it's 10 years old. Boomer Dean. And I think I'm always going to have a boss. I'm not touching about it. He's going to be ruling y'all's presidency for the next 4 years. Unless he kicks the bucket. And then Kamala is going to take over. He'll last 2 months. May not even make it to the square in. I made it through 8 years of Obama. I can make it through 4 years of anybody. That's right. It doesn't matter to me anyway. I'm on the dole. Yeah, just keep your eyes on Hillary. Do what you want, but leave me alone. That's all I want. I see where Nancy's talking about what a burden that Social Security recipients are on society. That tells me she's under the old government retirement system, which they didn't pay into Social Security. Yep. I'm sorry. I know Karen has wet dreams about her, but she needs to go. I think the next ones that we need to keep an eye on is Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi. Please don't make me. Yeah, no kidding. Hillary's done for. She's too old. She's like 80. Yeah, ever since she wasted Epstein, yeah, no dice there. Yeah, but she's still in her brain. Yeah, but nobody listens to her, not even the party. Just ask Kane. Kane took her out of his bank back a long time ago. That's right.
Thousands of the lorries caught up in delays in Kent have now crossed the channel. France closed its border for 2 days after the discovery of a new coronavirus in England, insisting that all drivers show they're clear of the virus before travelling. Mr. Schaap said 10,000 drivers had now been tested, with only 24 proving positive. Police in the American city of Nashville believe they found what could be human tissue in the wreckage caused by the explosion of a camper van yesterday. Around 20 buildings were damaged or destroyed, and 3 people are being treated in hospital. The Nashville mayor, John Cooper, gave an update to reporters.
Initial evidence does show that the early morning explosion was a deliberate bomb being set off in our community. But we're not going to rest until those responsible for this outrageous and cowardly attack are brought to justice.
And now with the weather, here's Helen Willits. Morning.
Good morning again, Susan. Hello there, morning to you. Storm Bella's now starting to bear down across the UK, so we're anticipating further disruption. There's an amber warning that comes into force this evening from the Met Office for damaging winds, Wales, southern parts of England. But
Pierwszy chrześcijański męczennik w centrum obchodów drugiego dnia świąt Bożego Narodzenia w Kościele katolickim dziś
de nombreuses entreprises vont devoir s'adapter à la nouvelle.
Na najlepší cestu.
Bude zataženo až oblačno, ojedinělé sněhové přehánky, postupně místy skoro jasno a teploty -2 až +2 stupně, na horách kolem -5. Ráno se může místy
Les autres sur le plan du sport. La pandémie de coronavirus a dicté sa loi sur toutes les compétitions. En Afrique, c'est le 20 mars.
En hommage au personnel soignant, l'élu est une infirmière de 29 ans, mais...
Ladies and gentlemen, word of God. To the voters that favor cooperation and solidarity. Opportunity in countries as well as regionally ugly. But said the deal meant the country could now move on. In seiner Familie erinnert. Ungewöhnlich kündigt hierzulande sicherlich auch das Leben als Mitglied eines Sufi-Ordens. Über die kosovarisch-albanische pendant toutes les compétitions.
Ana ci gaba da neman sauran mutane da ke cikin wannan jirgi yayin da
after a huge explosion tore through a historic part of the city in the early hours of Christmas morning. John Cooper praised the bravery of police officers who went from building to building, evacuating people after finding a camper van playing out a recorded message that it was about to explode. 3 people are known to have been injured in the blast, and possible human remains have been found in the debris. Local police say they have no clues as to the motive so far. Charles Sisk is an editor at WPLN News, Nashville Public Radio, and he told me about the latest information that he had.
What we know right now is that about 5:30 in the morning, police say they received a call that shots have been fired downtown. A few officers came to the scene. They did not see any evidence of shots having been fired, but they did find an RV or a camper that began broadcasting a message that it was going to explode and started a countdown. And they immediately started to clear people out of the area. They had about 15 minutes, they say, from the message started being broadcast to get people out of the buildings surrounding the camper. And luckily got most of the people got everyone out of the area in time. There were 3 people who were injured, taken to the hospital for injuries, but none of them serious. So it doesn't seem like there were any fatalities. But it was a massive explosion. People felt it as far as 10 miles away. From downtown, you can get a look in the blast. So it was definitely a massive blast in downtown Nashville.
And in the hours that followed, there was video footage that emerged. You could see how distressed people were in the immediate aftermath, and also what a mess it was on the streets, how much damage there had been. And this is the historic heart of Nashville, isn't it? If people go there as tourists, they'll probably end up in that part of town because that's where lots of the famous music venues are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is about 2 or 3 blocks north of of Lower Broadway, which is the heart of the music district in Nashville. It's where the honky tonk bars are, the Ryman Theater, Ryman Auditorium. So definitely a big target for someone who they wanted to be targeting the tourism district. Now, it's just not clear right now what the motive is, though. There was nothing in the message, as far as we know, that suggested a motive. If the bomber or the person behind this was on the scene when it exploded, if they were inside the camper, it was such a massive explosion that there were no remains. Police do say they have found some what could be human tissue from the area, but they're taking it off to be analyzed to be certain of that. So right now it's just not clear at all what was the motivation behind this.
So that's one line of inquiry that they're pursuing. What have they been telling you through the day, the police and the other authorities, about where this investigation might take them next?
Well, they've identified the camper that was parked downtown. It was parked there about 1:22 in the morning this morning, so just about 4 hours before the call for police to come down to the scene. And so what they're doing now is they're tracing camera footage from the downtown, as you might expect. In Nashville, as in most major cities, there's quite a number of security cameras in the downtown, so they are following up on those leads. They're asking for people to send any information in if they can identify the camper from the photos that they're circulating. Beyond that, there's not really a lot that they're able to say. They say that there was no threat made against the city or anything like that might suggest a motive. So they really don't have a lot to work on.
That's Chaz Sisk covering the story in Nashville for WPLN News. You're listening to Weekend on the BBC World Service. At the start of the week, it seemed like a package to support Americans struggling during the coronavirus pandemic was a done deal. Republicans and Democrats in Congress had finally agreed $900 billion of relief after long negotiations. But now President Trump has refused to sign it into law without changes. He wants higher one-off payments and a cut to foreign aid. So it's back to the drawing board for the politicians, and if they don't work out something acceptable to all sides, millions of unemployed Americans could see their coronavirus payments run out after Saturday. So far, Democrats and Republicans have blocked each other's attempts to amend the package. Earlier, I spoke to Matthew Wilson, Associate Professor of Political Science at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, who explained the President's objections.
President Trump has really lodged two major objections. One is that the congressional bill does not offer enough in the way of direct check payments to individuals. He would like to see $2,000 per person. Congress has authorized a payment of $600 per person, so that's a significant difference. The other thing is that Trump feels that a lot that are really unrelated to COVID relief have been packed into this bill, that there's a lot of pork, a lot of random priorities that have been put in this bill that should be stripped away. So Trump would see, he says, a cleaner, simpler bill that devotes more money to direct cash payments to individuals.
And do both Republicans and Democrats have objections to what he's proposing?
Well, some people in Congress, of both parties actually, would be okay with what he's proposing. The problem is, though, that he made these objections at the 11th hour. And Congress had already painstakingly negotiated a compromise that they, hammered out over weeks, and that was very difficult to get to. And then after the bill finally passed both houses of Congress, then President Trump started to speak out against it. And so now, at the end of the year, and with the congressional session about to expire, a lot of both Republicans and Democrats are frustrated that Trump has put them in this situation instead of registering his objections earlier.
And this situation will have very real consequences for people who receive unemployment benefits very soon, because if there's no resolution, those payments will stop.
That's right. Those payments will lapse at the end of the year unless this bill is signed. And so it's very possible that there will be an interruption in those benefits, and that Congress would have to come back in its new session after the first of the year and try to pass something new, or else repass this same bill and then try to override President Trump's veto. So there is a very real possibility of an interruption in those unemployment benefits.
So what is the way out of this? What are the political calculations being made about how to get through it?
Well, one way out of this would be for President Trump to say, I don't like this bill, but I'm going to sign it anyway because I don't want people to be left in the lurch. That's a possibility. Another possibility would be for President Trump to veto the bill and allow Congress to override his veto, which would be possible, though we'd have to see how many Republicans would now defect after Trump has raised such vocal objections. The worst case scenario from the standpoint of those who want the bill passed is if Trump simply does nothing. He can exercise what's called a pocket veto, which means that if he does nothing and Congress goes out of session, as it is now statutorily required to do, with less than 10 days after it passed the bill, then the bill just dies, and it would have to be passed anew in the next session of Congress. So those are the three possible outcomes. In terms of the political consequences, in the short term, a stalemate probably hurts Republicans more, in the sense that Trump would be seen as the reason that these benefits got suspended, and Republicans are facing two Senate elections in Georgia that they really need to win in order to retain a Senate majority. Those are on January 5th. Longer term, however, if there's no agreement, it probably hurts Democrats more, in the sense that any economic disruptions that are caused by a lack of COVID relief would hurt the incoming Biden administration, and the economic consequences will be felt on his watch.
Has President-elect Biden made his views clear on this?
I think President-elect Biden thinks that this bill is not perfect, but that it's better than nothing, and he would like to go into effect. He's made pretty clear that he'll want another bite at the apple after he comes into office. He'll try to put together some additional sort of stimulus, but for now, he'd like to see this bill signed into law.
That is Matthew Wilson, Associate Professor of Political Science at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced a $2.4 billion benefits package for farmers to try to put an end to a month of protests. Tens of thousands of farmers are camped around Delhi in protest at new laws which change how agriculture is run. The reforms loosen long-standing rules around the sale, pricing and storage of farm produce, which protect farmers from an unfettered free market. The unions are concerned the laws will eventually lead to the end of government-guaranteed prices for wheat and rice, and also allow smallholders to be exploited by large companies. The government, though, says the reforms will attract much-needed private investment. BBC reporter Salman Ravi in Delhi has been following the protests throughout.
these three laws, they were passed by the Parliament of India, and the ruling showed more agility in getting these passed, because first there was a pandemic and people, they were like, it was not a normal circumstance that these laws were introduced, and that is what the opposition is actually objecting. They say that the government could have waited for things to have been eased after this pandemic, and then they could have introduced these farms. There was no rush. So why did the government rush? So that is the reason that they are accusing the government of getting these laws passed just to favor the corporate lobby who own the huge marts and who have entered into the business of retail marketing, and especially during pandemic. So this has been actually for the last 50 days that the farmers, different unions, they have been protesting, and they have surrounded the national capital, Delhi, from all the directions. Hundreds and thousands of farmers, they are on the borders of Delhi, and the number is increasing with every passing day. So there is stalemate between the government and the farmers, because when the farm protests started, the farmers' unions, they met the government representatives, the ministers, and the government, they assured that they are going to listen to the farmers and bring about changes. But later on, the minister in charge for agriculture, he made it very clear that the main demand of the farmers is that the government should introduce a minimum support price for the farm produce and the crops produced by the farmers. So, but the government says that since minimum support price is not mentioned in the farm laws that have been passed by the government, so there is no point in talking about the minimum support price. So this is the point where things are getting stuck, and the farmers are on the roads, on the borders, and the government is actually again contemplating to talk to the representatives of farmer unions. Figures have been sent to them, letters have been issued to the farmer unions, and most likely on Saturday, that is today, that farmer unions will respond to the government with
Yeah, hey Gordo. Good to hear you hanging in there, man. Thanks, man.
I told you, I hate my buzz, Jerry.
Yeah, but I know how you got the voice.
He was buried one time to Texarkana, and anyways, I hope you have a very blessed and up that way. And you too.
I pulled a Steve here. I got out here about 9:30 and laid down on the couch listening to some music. And lo and behold, I never heard a clock or anything. I can't believe it. And 10:15. So here we are. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Yeah. Pretty good on your day. Oh, it's pretty peaceful around here too. You know, things were just quite a bit different this year. But, oh man, had a good morning, reading, studying, that's going on my message for Sunday. And some other things that I'm reading and going through. Ended up, let's see, cleaning up around here, blowing leaves and getting them in a gas barrel. And ended up, let's see, got the Mustang and got the vacuum out, my dirt buster, and had to clean it all out. Some other cleanup projects. Anyway, cleaned up the Mustang and took it out for a spin. That was good. And then, let's see, Paul and Elizabeth and Zoe and Brandon and Serena and Izzy, they came over. We had dinner here around 6:30 or so, and that was very, very nice. Little dessert, a lot of fun with the kids, and they'll be back in the morning for brunch. have our brunch in the morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, about 4 o'clock, we're going out to my brother's. We're going to have, like, dessert out there and have some outside fellowship. So that's how it went today and what we're looking at tomorrow. So I did get on the air, made some nice contacts on 17 meters. That was wonderful. And back to Connecticut, Houston, Texas. Yeah, it reminds me, I was thinking about you, wondered if you got on 17 today. How that worked out, if it did. Anyway, sounds good. Sorry again about the noise level. That's terrible. I heard a fake signal in there, so maybe up north the band might be a little long or something. I don't know. Back to you, KM6FYD, W6YC.
Yeah, I hear some every once in a while, but it doesn't talk when you quit. I don't think they're aware of us. You just hear a little voice out there every once in a while. Anyhow, well, real good on your day. Falling asleep on the couch. Yeah, that's easy to do. But good on your reading and studying for your message on Sunday, and a little bit of yard cleanup, car cleanup, sons coming to visit with their families, and I did not do the 17 meters. No, it was doing stuff with Julie all day, so didn't make it up here for that. I tuned it up last night, because I hadn't ever tuned up and I left everything because it's a different tuner. But I was able to get the linear. It works better on, let's see, if I've got it for, what is that now? Yeah, if I put the linear on 20 meters, it works a little bit better than if I put it on 15 meters. You know, the input circuit's not right either way, and then the tuner on this transmitter, it's got a little auto tuner in it, and it chunks away for a while and gets the input better, a lot better than if I bypass the little tuner that's in the transmitter, and not near as good as if I let the little tuner in the transmitter do its job and tune to the input circuit, because it's not one-to-one. So, and then the linear, the output of the linear tunes, and then the tuner works good, and the antenna works good. So I got all that worked out last night after we talked, and I left it that way already, but I never made it back up to actually try it. So I was kind of disappointing. So the tuner's still set for that, and then the linear, that's not too hard to put back up there, and the transceiver, it'll auto tune again and get back good for the input circuit of the linear. So I got that all worked out and called out, but late at night there's nobody there. I think that's daytime only. And it sounds like it's good for talking across the country, halfway across the country, or a little bit more than that. And tomorrow we'll see if we can't try that. It won't be as unusual of a day tomorrow as it was today. And so that'll be good. Let's see, what else? Don't really have much planned for the rest of the weekend, I guess. I guess I got plenty to do, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I just haven't thought about it today. Anyhow, I'll turn it back over to you and see if you've got
Royal Rainey also started his career in prison. He says the new law will make it easier for people to make the transition he did, but only if they can change their mindset.
You're going from a person that committed a crime or going that way at one point in your life. Now you got to actually, you're a public servant. Like, you actually, the hero. You are the person that people depend on when they're at their vulnerable state in their life. You need to get some therapy. What do you really want to do with your life, and understand that it's morals and values that you have to carry with you out at all times.
In prison, they carried chainsaws and worked on hand crews. The firefighting teams who hike wildlands to hack away brush and cut perimeters around wildfires to stop them from spreading. It's backbreaking, dangerous work. And Krista Garcia loved it.
A lot. I know how to use a chainsaw, a pole saw. I know how to use tools. And like when I got out, I was looking around everywhere I went, and I was just like, I want to do this. Oh my God, that needs to be fixed, so I can do that. So it's pretty exciting to have new skills and being able to use them, put them where I want to be. So I'm gonna fight hard to be a wildland firefighter.
John Anthony Acuna was released in April. Like many inmate firefighters, he was released early because coronavirus was spreading through prisons.
I never thought in a million years I would be trying to be a professional firefighter and do this as a career, but when I was incarcerated and did do it, I had a passion for it. After I caught my first fire call and we did that and put it out, it was very exciting, and I knew right there, like, hey, this could be an outlet to change my life for the better, and actually do something positive in life. So that was it. From there, I was hooked.
That report from the BBC's Reagan Morris in Los Angeles, and certainly lots for professional firefighters to do in California this year, just catching up on the wildfire season there. A piece in USA Today talking about 2020 as the wildfire season that just won't end, with more power outages recently and more threats of wildfires. A very large area of the United States burnt this year, California comprising much of that. It's certainly a consequence, isn't it, of a really intense drought season and, of course, a changing climate. We'll be with our panel guests for the rest of the programme just on the other side of the news, with conversation around the stories of the moment. So stay with us here on Weekend on the BBC World Service.
This is the BBC World Service. How does a 19-year-old Indian student cause a sensation in 1914?
Wales, the land of song. Poetry and music are the lifeblood of this country. The University College of Wales at Aberystwyth is holding an Eisteddfod, an annual celebration of Welsh culture in which a competition takes place to find the best poet.
Sometimes when the nights are still and fair, the water ripples softly round the caves, and peace falls from the stars on land and sea.
I'm Andrew Whitehead, uncovering the remarkable story of Dorothy Bonerjee, the Hindu bard.
If India has given birth to a poet, Wales has educated her.
She must have understood the story very well in order to produce her poem.
The Hindu Bard, Tuesday at 13:30 and 21 GMT.
It's 6:30 GMT. This is Weekend from the BBC service. Still to come, we'll hear the latest on a giant iceberg that's breaking up in the South Atlantic, and why far-right and white supremacist groups in the US are gaining more support amongst mainstream voters. That's all on Weekend with Ben James. But first, let's get the latest summary of world news. News with David Hartley.
More than 40% of England's population are now living under the most stringent level of COVID-19 restrictions. The expansion of the tough measures is in response to a new, highly infectious strain of the virus experts think is driving the rapid rise in infections. France has identified its first case of the new variant, and a man who travelled from Britain. A senior British government minister says he is confident that the UK and European Union can enjoy a special relationship as a result of the Brexit deal agreed between both sides on Christmas Eve. Michael Gove, who played a big role in the Leave campaign 4 years ago, said it would allow both sides to continue as sovereign equals. Police in the US city of Nashville say they've found what could be human remains in the debris of an explosion that caused widespread damage. A camper van blew up in the early hours of Christmas Day after broadcasting a recorded message warning that a blast was imminent. Unemployment benefit payments for millions of Americans are due to end on Saturday as a result of a standoff between President Trump and Congress. It's estimated that 12 million people will lose benefits from 2 coronavirus relief programs introduced earlier this year. The UN says 3 peacekeepers from Burundi have been killed in the Central African Republic, where rebel forces are fighting the government ahead of presidential and parliamentary elections on Sunday. The UN statement blamed unidentified armed combatants for the events. A new high-speed railway has opened in China to dramatically reduce the journey time between the western cities of Yunchuan and Xi'an, more than 900 kilometers apart, at speeds of up to 350 kilometers an hour. The Fuxing bullet train will cut the travel time from more than 14 hours to a little over 3. Tickets for the maiden journey have reportedly sold out. BBC News.
Hello there, you're listening to Weekend from the BBC World Service with Ben James. Coming up later, we'll look at the growth of far-right anti-establishment protest groups across the United States.
The Venn diagram of white nationalism, white supremacy is getting much, much larger now. You're starting to have the kind of anti-mask, anti-lockdown people, you have anti-vaxxers, then you have kind of standard far-right conservatives, and there's a lot of overlap across the country with these different groups, and that's how they interact, and that's how they become mainstream.
So that's one story we'll look at this half hour, but before we get there, let me introduce you to 2 people who will spend the rest of the programme with us. They're going to be giving us their personal take on the news and issues of the day. So let's say hello and Merry Christmas first to Catherine Barnard, Professor of Law and a Fellow of Trinity College, Cambridge. Hello, Catherine.
Hello there.
And you specialise in EU, employment and competition law, a Senior Fellow at UK in a Changing Europe, a non-partisan think tank. So I suspect we'll be talking Brexit and trade deals with you a little later. I don't know if you read it yet over your Christmas dinner, have you?
No, I'm afraid the turkey took priority.
Quite right too, on Christmas Day, and we should all have a day off, I think. Let's also say hello to Robert Fox, a British journalist and broadcaster, the defence editor and foreign affairs commentator for the Evening Standard newspaper here in the UK. Robert, was Christmas very different this year in coronavirus times?
Amazingly so, because it was just my wife and myself in a bubble. We've been around together for quite some time, over 50 years. And we didn't exchange a present, curiously. And there was a lot of preparation for this programme. What a good boy.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. We're honoured that you spend your Christmas Day doing that. And Catherine, I should ask you, as the role that you have at Trinity College, Cambridge, what's the coronavirus pandemic been like when you're dealing with your students there? You're the senior tutor, I think. So how has that been, trying to get them back and to manage their studies?
I must say it has been a real challenge. Trinity is the largest of the schools in Cambridge, and we obviously have a large number of students. It's residential, and so first of all we had to get them out, get them to leave in March when there was lockdown, and then we had to get the college as COVID secure as possible, which is something of a challenge in a very old building, in order to bring them back. But what we've done is we have been able to get them all back. We've taught them quite often in person. Lectures have been done online, and we've also been able to give them something of a college life. They still eat together, again in a COVID secure way. And actually, I think a lot of them were pretty pleased with what they managed to receive in the course of last term. Our big problem now is getting them back again, because of course we're in a further period essentially in lockdown.
We are indeed, and I know we're going to talk lots more about that later on. Robert, how has your work and life changed this year? Have you adapted to the whole working from home thing as a journalist?
Yeah, badly, but I've done a lot of working from home, but going with working from home is working out of home. I've always enjoyed, particularly since I've been self-employed, which is for nearly 20 years now, although a contract correspondent and an editor, is going out and meeting people. And I don't know whether Catherine would agree, there's no substitute for actually eyeballing somebody. When you're doing a serious, in-depth interview, it's the pauses between the words, what people are really having to think about that is so much. I had a very interesting conversation with Paul Collier, the Professor of Development Economics at Oxford, and he was saying the problem with Zoom meetings is quite different from a group of meeting of, say, 6 or 7 people. In an hour with 6 or 7 people, you will always get randomness, and it's that randomness I miss.
Catherine, where are you on randomness?
I much prefer teaching students face-to-face, which is what I have been able to do, although masked up, which is of course not ideal. But I mean, of course, our entire life has now been converted to Zoom, and while it has qualities, what I also miss is the sort of Zoom sort of flattens people's faces. You lose some of that eye contact. I think that's what Robert was referring to too. That it's difficult to read in quite the same way that face-to-face contact gives you.
And I would normally, I suspect, be seeing at least one of you right here in the studio with me, but you're both voices in my ear, but wonderful to have you both from your homes this morning on Weekend, and we'll talk lots more over the next couple of hours. But let's get into the first story we're going to discuss. And you may have seen this already this week. A giant iceberg, you could almost describe it as Titanic, it says here, that broke free of the Antarctic Peninsula 3 years ago. But it's made the news this week because it's been breaking up, heading towards the British territory of South Georgia, an island in the South Atlantic. The iceberg is known as A68A, and there are fears that it could cause a huge environmental upheaval. Let's speak live to Professor Geraint Tarling. He's a biological oceanographer at the British Antarctic Survey here in the UK, and in analysing the images of the iceberg over the past few days. Good morning to you, Professor Tarling. And what does it look like then when you're seeing those images? Describe them to us.
Yes, good morning. They are quite amazing. The resolution we can get on satellites now is second to none. These are polar orbiting satellites. And they can drill straight in so we can see features of these icebergs. And we've been tracking this iceberg since 2017, in fact, and that's some of the fantastic things we can do with satellites these days. So this particular berg, you can almost imagine it for the past month or so, it's been looking like a fist with an index finger coming out of it. And just recently, just over the past few days before Christmas, the knuckles and the index finger have broken off. They've actually they're so big, they've been given names to themselves. So A68A was the original bird. These are now called A68E and A68F, and they're sort of the size of, say, somewhere between the Isle of Wight and the Isle of Man. So they are quite major breakups, and I think there's going to be more breakups in the days to come as well.
Substantial lumps of ice then. The naming convention is not the snappiest, is it, for these icebergs? How do they get their names? Why A68?
Yeah, so it's the US National Ice Center that actually give these names, and so it actually depends on which sector of the Antarctic you're actually breaking off from. That gives you an A, B, C, or D, if you can imagine quadrants. And then the 68 refers to, well, how many bergs have we tracked so far from that particular quadrant. And then you have like the part, and then if any bergs come off that, then they've been given sort of a nomenclature of, D, B, C, D, and so on. So that's how you get the nomenclature. So it allows us to keep track and have a consistent system that's international.
Got it. Now, I know that one of the reasons that this has become a story that people are so interested in this week is that with the ice heading towards the island of South Georgia, there are potential concerns about it colliding with the island, the effects on the ecosystems there as well. Right now, what are the risks?
Well, the icebergs are actually moving slightly further away from South Georgia at the moment. That's because they're trapped in a really strong current called the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. And that will actually then start to loop in northwards, and that's going to come onto the eastern side of South Georgia. It's off the southwest at the moment. And as it sort of goes northwards, then it goes into these shallow hazards where they may ground. And that actually that's where we're going to sort of start seeing the major effects of the berg. A is going to get stuck there, and if you can imagine something of this size, well, several of these bergs now, they have hundreds of billions of tons of cold, fresh water trapped in them. And that's going into an ecosystem that is comparatively warm and salty. So as these icebergs melt, they're already melting at a rapid rate. In fact, there was an estimate from the UK Centre for Polar Observation and Modelling in Leeds University. They're melting at about 12 times the outflow of the River Thames. And just that sort of giving you an idea of how much fresh water is going in there. And as it melts, and particularly inshore, that's going right to the base of the food chain. And we're talking about microscopic marine plants called phytoplankton. So this plug of cold fresh water may mean they fail to grow, and that means there'll be less food available for the next level up, which are things called krill, which are shrimp-like animals about 6 centimeters long. And krill are the main food of penguins, seals, and whales. So in Antarctica, actually, you have a really simple food chain. I'm just describing 3 steps there. And that makes it really efficient and productive in normal times. These colonies of penguins and seals in South Georgia are actually some of the largest in the world. But by the same token, this ecosystem is actually really vulnerable. And there's, an environmental shock like this could really perturb it.
Is this happening much more because of climate change?
Yeah, that's a frequently asked question in scientific circles. When we actually looked at the carving of this iceberg around the Antarctic Peninsula, it's a natural event to have these carving events. You can imagine all this snow falling on Antarctica and then it's going out to the edges, and at some point they're going to have to break off, or Antarctica will just keep growing and growing. So these things have happened naturally. And with this particular event, when we looked at the data back in 2017, there was no real signal that climate change was responsible directly for this berg. But if you then go into models about how we're predicting Antarctica to look in the future, these types of events are much more likely to become frequent. And so that's why we're really studying this berg now, because it gives us a fantastic insight of possibly what's going to happen much more in the future.
Let's bring in Catherine Barnard and Robert Fox. And Robert, you're known for your reporting on the Falklands War in the South Atlantic, but I understand you've also been to South Georgia.
I've been to South Georgia, seen the magnificent King Penguin colonies, and actually had a lot of close contact with BAS, British Antarctic Survey, all the way down to the peninsula, where we have this unstable a bit of the ice shelf, Larsen Sea. I believe I was wanting to ask Professor Tarling, does he share the misgivings that Attenborough voiced?
Christmas in cities has become a shopping spree. The presents, the trees, the ornaments, and the food are indispensable. This is a reason for joy for the entire family, hope of a new beginning. This has been a special Christmas feature, and we wish everyone happy holidays. You are listening to Radio Romania International. Focus on Romania. The Green Planet. Hello and welcome to our ecology feature with me, Călin Coțoiu. This year